All right, let's talk about something fascinating. A kind of legal ghost from the colonial era. It's the system that journeyed thousands of miles, somehow outlasted an entire empire, and still, to this day, shapes the law for millions of people. So yeah, let's dive right in.
Okay, so picture this. On one side, you've got modern Sri Lanka, a vibrant, bustling island nation, with its own incredibly deep history and culture.
And then, way over on the other side, you have 17th century Holland. I mean, what could possibly connect these two places, right? Well, the answer is, it's not just some dusty old history lesson, it's actually the rule book that still runs daily life in Sri Lanka right now. Yeah, it's the law. This whole thing is a wild story about how this one European legal system got packed up and moved to the Indian Ocean. And then through some seriously strange twists of fate, it managed to survive, well, everything. Conquest, new rulers, you name it. So, to really get our heads around this incredible story, we've got to start at square one. What even is Roman Dutch law?
The best way to think about it is like a legal fusion recipe, The main ingredient, the base, is ancient Roman law, which is basically the blueprint for a ton of legal thinking all across Europe. But then, it got mixed and seasoned with all the local customs and traditions from one very specific place, the province of Holland.
Okay, so how did it get to Sri Lanka? Well, its journey starts way back in 1656 with Dutch colonists. But here's the real plot twist. In 1796, the British show up and take over. Now, you'd think they'd just scrap the old laws and bring in their own English system, right? Nope. They made this huge decision to just keep the Dutch system running. And that one choice, that's the reason it's still around today as the country's default legal code.
But, and this is super important, it wasn't a complete legal takeover. The Dutch were pretty practical about it. They didn't just bulldoze all the existing legal traditions. Instead, they were like, you know what? These communities can keep using their own personal laws for stuff like family matters and inheritance. So Roman Dutch law was never meant to replace everything. It was designed to work alongside these other systems.
And this right here is where Roman Dutch law found its special superpower. It became the ultimate gap filler. It created this common ground between all these different legal traditions. And in the process, it totally changed what the term common law even means in Sri Lanka.
So think about it. In a place like England, common law means the one law for the whole country, for everybody. But in Sri Lanka, it's kind of the opposite. It's the law you go to only when a community's own personal laws are silent, when they don't have an answer for something. It's literally there to fill in the gaps.
And this wasn't just some vague idea. It got locked in by the courts. There's this great quote from a judge who just nails it. He said Roman Dutch law became the common ground where personal laws are silent. See? It's not the first thing you turn to. It's the ultimate legal safety net for everybody.
So what you end up with is this incredible legal mosaic. The country isn't run by just one single rulebook. Nope, it's got multiple personal laws, all existing at the same time, each one shaped by the customs of a different community.
But that makes you wonder, doesn't it? What happens in the spaces between all these laws? I mean, what do you do when a situation comes up that isn't covered by any of these specific community codes?
And boom, that's its job. That's when Roman Dutch law steps in. It fills those gaps and provides the common thread that stitches this whole legal patchwork together into one system that actually works.
But don't think its survival was a sure thing. Oh no. During the British era, this whole system was basically put on trial. There was this huge, fiery debate raging among the judges. Should this Dutch law even exist in a British colony?
And when I say fiery, I mean it. The opposition was intense. Just listen to this quote from one judge, Justice Clarence. You can feel the anger. He didn't just want to change it. He wanted the whole thing cut down and grubbed up root and branch. Wow. That's aggressive.
So the critics were not holding back. They basically saw Roman Dutch law as this dusty old relic that nobody could access. They were calling it outdated, full of contradictions, and this was the real kicker for these British lawyers, completely undiscoverable. They complained they couldn't even read the ancient texts it was based on. But it wasn't a one-sided fight. The law had some powerful defenders too. Judges like Sir Anton Bertram, they fought back hard. Their argument was, hey, this isn't just some historical curiosity you can toss in the trash. It's a real, binding authority. It's a fundamental part of the common law here. This whole judicial battle finally came to a head in one landmark case, Samid v. Segatambi. And the court's decision?
It was a knockout punch. It settled the debate, once and for all. Roman Dutch law wasn't going anywhere.
Okay, so it survived conquest. It survived a legal war in the courts. But where does this centuries-old system actually pop up in modern life? What's its living, breathing legacy today?
Well, it is absolutely not just a historical footnote. It's the bedrock of everyday life. We're talking about things that affect everyone. Family disputes over custody, the rules for buying a house, what happens if someone breaks a contract. The court principles for all that stuff, it all comes from Roman Dutch law.
Now, to be fair, English law definitely left a huge mark, especially on things like criminal law and constitutional law. But when you get down to the core of how people interact with each other, private, civil matters, that's where the DNA of Roman Dutch law is still really, really strong.
So let's just quickly recap this incredible journey. Step 1, it arrives as an import from a colonial power. Step 2, it survives a new colonial power by becoming this clever gap filler. Step 3, it gets fought for tooth and nail in the courts. And Step 4, today, it's still standing as a foundational pillar of the whole legal system. What a story.
And all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most mind-bending part of the story. It's summed up perfectly by this guy, Lord Diplock. He called this European law the indigenous common law of Sri Lanka. Just let that sink in for a second. A system brought over by colonizers is now seen as being fundamentally local, as if it grew right there on the island.
Which leaves us with a huge question to chew on. After hundreds of years of being changed, fought for, and woven into the very fabric of a nation, can a law that started as a colonial import ever become truly local? Can it ever really shake off that history? It's a tough question right at the heart of what post-colonial identity means, and there's definitely no easy answer. Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.